on the nation's favorite radio station, playing the best hip-hop, urban, Afro, and R&B on 99 FM.
99 FM.
Young people are facing as they try and raise the next generation. Here's more of what's coming up in the show.
In the Gambia, we meet a group of young people determined to fight maternal mortality. We find out how long parental leave is across the continent. And in Kenya, we hear how women are breaking motherhood stereotypes that have held them back.
In the news tonight, City of Windhoek secures $155 million Namibian loan for new power substation to avoid load shedding.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of News on One. I'm Nashon Marenga. In the news tonight, parents sabotage their sons' education achievements, Okahanja residents clash with Deputy Mayor at Minister Utoni's office, African antelope at risk of extinction due to climate change, and Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports and the Weather. Parents undermine and sabotage their sons' education achievements by giving them too much freedom to roam and loiter around, permitting them to abuse alcohol while they strictly control their daughters. This came to light during a discussion on a nationwide 4-year study conducted by the School of Education at the University of Namibia. The purpose of the study was to find out what accounted for the persistent disparity in academic performance between male and female learners and students. The 2-day event was held at UNAM's Commersdale campus in Windhoek.
Last year, the University of Namibia kept a total of 5,833 students, and 70% of graduates were women. UNAM's Vice-Chancellor Kenneth Matengu at the time requested for assistance in understanding why male students are lagging behind. Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture Deputy Executive Director Eda Bon stated that the study revealed that boys perform worse than girls because they distract themselves from schoolwork by engaging in self-destructive activities such as abusing alcohol, and that parents were not giving boys responsibilities at home to cultivate discipline that promotes academic achievements. Bourne was speaking at the opening of the discussion on Monday this week, held under the theme, The Boys We Leave Behind, Findings and Recommendations from a National Study on Namibia Boys Education.
Some Namibian boys performed worse than girls because they distracted themselves from their schoolwork, withdrew from learning activities, engaged in self-destructive behavior. According to the researchers, sampled learners and sampled teachers reported that several parents undermined and sabotaged their sons' educational achievement during socializing by giving them too much freedom to roam and loiter around aimlessly without restraint, while strictly controlling the behavior and movements of their daughters, allowing their sons to abuse alcohol. They had easy access through bars, nightclubs, shein outlets and cooker shops, not caring about what their sons did and how they spent their time, not giving their sons responsibility at home.
UNAM Pro Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs Ferdinand Gideon recommended that programs aimed at supporting schools in their effort to prevent boys from dropping out of schools should be put in place to bridge the gap between boys and girls' performance.
To increase male students' enrollment in tertiary education institutions, university, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and other educational stakeholders, should put in place programs aimed at supporting schools in their effort to prevent boys from dropping out of schools, to increase boys' survival and promotion rates, to reduce boys' school leaving rates and to reduce boys' failure rates, and to reach out to parents of boys who may keep them out of schools because of not valuing education. They have also recommended that to facilitate the implementation of these recommendations, universities should include in their teacher preparation programs modules on how pre- and in-service teachers could reach out to boys, meet their peculiar learning needs, and mentor academic work habits that promote boys.
The education speakers from across the country attended the two-day seminar and shared their views on how to address challenges faced by Namibian boys in education.
Aggrieved residents from Okahandja's Favorand informal settlement once again marched to the Urban and Rural Development Ministry office to express their dissatisfaction with the lack of response from their local authority councillors in addressing issues including provision of municipal services which they raised last year. Okahandja Municipality Deputy Mayor Axel Aupindi, who was present at the ministry office, assured the residents that the municipality is working to address their request for service delivery.
We're having a petition, but it's the same petition, but we want an answer. Because every time minister is sending that back and come back, so I think maybe this is a political tactic, or I don't know.
Last year, the same group marched to the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development to hand over a petition expressing grievances related to a lack of land ownership, potable water and other municipal services. On Monday this week, about 30 members visited the same ministry and met with Minister Erastus Utoni, who was flanked by Okahandja municipality officials. Josie van Ster, who read the petition on behalf of the group, highlighted the fact that government officials at both local and ministerial level continue to ignore their demands.
Town council is utmost incompetent to run the small town like Okahandja. We have requested your office to handle our cry directly. Yet you send us back to the council that we have the problem with. This is the second petition that we are submitting again. We are really sick and tired to be sent back and forth. If we do not get the help or assistance from you within a week, we will be forced to go to the office of the president, and this is not a threat actually.
Upon receiving the petition, the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Erastus Utoni, handed it over to Okahandja Municipality Deputy Mayor, explaining that local authority councillors should be dealing with their matter. Utoni also indicated that 20 plots have been availed for the residents.
I'm now giving it into the hands of the deputy mayor. Again. Wait. This is what I'm saying. You need to understand. What was understand, Minister? Wait. Garrison, if you listen, you'll be able to understand what people are saying. You see, the first word I started the statement I made first. I said, you have elected people. These people are the ones dealing with all the activities on the ground. And it's them, not the minister. Community, you don't need to come here. You have elected people. Why can't you submit your petition to them? Now you are the one running the office. Make sure that your officials are active enough to engage the community.
In addition, the deputy mayor stated that the local authority councillors have in the past engaged the group leaders from 5 Rand informal settlement. However, he accused the leaders of not relaying information to the community members.
We communicate with the person who carries it. It's not our fault if the people didn't get information, because we give the communications to the person who wrote the letter to us. Then he's supposed to come to give those information to the whole members. It's just a matter of people who need to understand how we operate. We don't operate like you put water in the kettle, you boil and cook. It's a channel of communication from this office to the other office. Imagine we have engaged these people on the 14th of February, the Valentine's Day, and today people are here saying we don't communicate with them. Are they fair enough to us?
The concerned group was not satisfied with the answers they received. They indicated they will return and wait what the councillors will do. Similarly, the minister directed the councillors to work with the concerned group, adding that the group needs service delivery.
About 70% of African antelopes will be extinct in the next 20 to 30 years because of the current rate at which the continent is heating up. This was raised during a research presentation that unveiled findings on the vulnerabilities of African antelope species in Windhoek recently.
Conservation physiologist Robin Heatham shared her findings at the second research program launch of the Southern African Science Service Center for Climate Change and Adaptive Land Management. Heatham highlighted that the Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area is prone to the most adverse climate change effects in sub-Saharan Africa, and consequently, the largest population of African antelope species are found in the Kaza area. According to Heatham, the resources needed for the African antelope to survive are quickly decreasing because of constantly rising temperatures and decreasing water availability, resulting in low availability of vegetation. These resources include water, shade, and grazing.
Many regions in southern Africa are predicted to get 4 to 6 degrees warmer by the end of the century. But those increases in temperature may well be exceeded or even compounded by those projected changes in rainfall. Many of southern Africa's arid and semi-arid ecosystems are predicted to decline by nearly 80% in rainfall. And this is likely to result in a very challenging environment for many of our large mammals. In response to these changing climatic conditions, animals basically have 3 options. They can move, adapt, or they may well die out. Movement seems an obvious option. Let's track where those climates are moving to, but that option isn't always feasible.
Heatham added that the research shows that species like the eland normally migrate with floods, and that African antelope flock to the Kalahari, which is prone to floods, but equally experiences the worst droughts.
The scimitar horned oryx, for example, it is a historic distribution up in the Sahel. Those bioclimatic envelope models predict that it's likely to lose much of that habitat in the near future. And it's only going to then be gaining habitat down in the Kalahari, near where we are today. That's a distance of thousands of kilometers through a modern human-dominated landscape, across fence lines and cities, which is likely to be unfeasible. Sadly, due to a number of confounding factors, the scimitar horned oryx is now extinct in the wild. And these bioclimatic envelope models predict that if animals are unable to move, 70% of southern Africa's mammals will be extinct within the next 30 years.
Also speaking at the event was Professor Francois Engelbrecht from the Global Climate Change Institute with the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, South Africa. Engelbrecht stated that Africa's current heating rate can result in day zero events such as extinctions of the entire antelope species by 2030.
The Saskatchewan countries are warming faster. The warming is at its strongest over northern Botswana and southern Zambia in observation, and then stretch into the eastern part of Namibia. Warming is also strong over the western to central interior of South Africa and into southern Angola. So we are warming fast, faster than the global average. It has a lot to do with our regional climate system. We should be prepared for a variety of extreme events in the region. We are not sufficiently prepared for weather systems that have been affecting us for the last 30, 40 years. So we are vulnerable. This without climate.
Fingers or toes?
No! Somebody help me!
Hey, calm yourself.
Get out of my house! It was so simple, damn it. All you had to do was kill her. And yet we both know you want what your sister has. Crazy? Do you really think you'll ever take under this place? Enough!
Make it an evening to remember. Get dinnerware at the lowest prices from Pep Home. Fancy side plates or bowls, only $22.99 each. And fancy dinner plates, only $29.99. Cheers to you. These barrel drinking glasses are just $9.99. Everything you need for your home at the lowest prices from Pep and Pep Home.
Welcome to Business on One. Speaker of the National Assembly, Peter Kashavivi, stated that despite a budget shortfall of $60 million, the Electoral Commission of Namibia, ECN, will have to carry out its duties. The commission, which is mandated to organize and supervise elections, received $270 million for the financial year 2023-24.
Speaking during the budget motivation on Monday, Peter Kachavivi, the Speaker of the National Assembly, said the shortfall may be addressed based on the availability of vehicles from the government garage pool and other ministries and agencies.
The Commission will require about 1,500 vehicles during the planned general registration of voters to be used at various levels of the registration process. Securing of vehicles is very crucial towards conducting of any electoral process, and general registration of voters is thus no exception. As a result, the Commission will have no choice but to hire a pool of vehicles from various government garages as well as from the members of the public to compensate for any possible shortfall. The Commission notes with appreciation the current budget allocation. However, it is worth noting that 60 million Namibian dollars will remain a shortfall that will have to have it could have a negative impact on the preparation, the conduct of the general registration of voters.
Kachavivi added that the ECN plans to engage the Finance Ministry regarding budgetary requirements for capital projects, as the lack of permanent physical infrastructure in the regions hampers the Commission's ability to carry out its legal mandate in an effective manner.
During the 2023-24 financial year, the Commission will implement its permanent structure for the regions in compliance with Section 2, Sub 1N, read together with Section 19 of the Electoral Act. The fulfilling of positions of 14 regional electoral officers is very critical in preparation for the conduct of the 2024 general registration of voters and subsequent presidential and National Assembly elections and beyond.
The ECN has requested for the approval of the amount of 421,930,000 Namibian dollars, 59,733,000 Namibian dollars of which is earmarked for personal expenditure, and 362,197,000 Namibian dollars is earmarked for non-personal expenditure, including preparation of national elections.
And that is all the business news we have for you. Back to you, Nishan.
Here is a preview of what's in store. Passenger boats in Lagos help residents circumvent traffic jams. Coal pits in Germany are transformed into natural oases. And solar power is changing rural life in northern Ghana.
And now let's have a look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. A look at more comments from the story of a 27-year-old pregnant woman who opened a case of assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm against the Namibian Police Special Reserve Force members who attacked her on Tuesday last week. Agnes described the act of a woman assaulting another woman as shameful. McAlbert believes the version of the young woman. Kasika suspects that the young woman was among the demonstrators. Ordinary said the police officer stands a better chance of winning this case. Paula said the water bottle means she was taking part in the demonstration. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to engage in our stories on our social media pages for broadcast on News on One.
And I suppose this is the bathroom?
Yeah, that's probably the bathroom.
Oh, there's somebody in here.
Urra. Stupid. Lazarus, can I have a bit of water?
My water?
Yeah.
But
it's our community water.
Based on Corona, I can't give
I know you yellow muro.
Please reintroduce sticky boxes.
Reintroduce
sticky boxes. Save Namibian marriages, please.
And now let's have a look at some sports news. The Namibian Rugby Union announced at a media conference earlier today that it has offered contracts to 19 players in the Windhoek Draft Wilviches squad. This comes after the main sponsor, Windhoek Draft, agreed to reward the players as they commit to the national team ahead of the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France.
The Namibian Rugby Union has concluded contractual agreements for 19 players with Windhoek Draft in order to have a fully functional and competitive team ahead of the upcoming Mzansi Challenge in South Africa and the 2023 Rugby World Cup, which is slated to take place in France. Speaking at the media conference, the director of rugby, Alesta Kutsia, said that the national team has been facing challenges in terms of assembling enough players to train as a full squad.
Really almost amateur players, because they're full-time workers and they have to come in 500 k's travel to come in to be coached and to be a team. So those are all the challenges. Like in the statement, this will alleviate. Also, another form, and you will see some new faces from time to time in the Wilvitcher squad, players from outside Namibia. We're currently sitting with a prop crisis where we have 5 props in the space of 1.5 weeks not available for the team. We've got Janu Otto, who's retired. He stopped playing rugby. We've got Neely Smith, who did his groin. We've got Andre Rademeyer, who also pulled a muscle. We've got Desiderius Setti.
Speaking at the same occasion, the Namibian Rugby Union Chief Executive Officer, John Haynes, explained that the contracts with the players will bring players with contracts with other clubs outside the country back to Namibia.
We're preparing ourselves for the World Cup, and most of our players will be local based. They have been playing in the Mzansi Cup, which is part of the Currie Cup competition. So there shouldn't be any confusion. Mzansi Cup is the first division Currie Cup division hosted by South Africa. And we had our first game last weekend. I would say it was a good start. Most of the teams that started playing that we are playing against already had 5 weeks. This coming weekend they will have 6 weeks weekend of matches behind them. So Dani, from behalf of the NRU, also thank you for joining us this morning. And in the middle, the familiar face, and the face that will become more familiar is Prince Gause. My right is Prince.
Namibia Breweries Limited's global sponsorship and events manager, Daniel Kilder, said that the contracts are a reward for the rugby players' hard work and the career responsibilities.
But Windhoek Draft wishes to congratulate you on being offered a contract. Please see these contracts as a reward for your hard work that you're putting. So it's a thank you and a way to motivate. But please be aware that also with these contracts comes responsibility, not only to yourself to make sure that you look after yourself, be in the best condition that you can be.
The Windhoek Draft Wilvitchers are expected to train as a full squad on Thursday ahead of their game this coming weekend at the Hage Geingob Rugby Stadium against the SWD Eagles from South Africa.
And that's all the sports news we had for you. Please stay tuned for the weather forecast. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's edition of News on One. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. From me, Nashon Marenga, and the rest of the team, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Thank you for watching this show on One Africa. Because you are part of our One family, your voice is very important to us. Please take a moment to rate this show by scanning the QR code on your screen now, and you can stand a chance to win fantastic prizes every month. T's and C's apply.